Hey guys, Danny here. Today I want to talk to you about a book that is an absolute favorite of mine. Just finished listening to it again. This is my fourth or fifth time listening to this book. This book is, in my opinion, one of the best communication, leadership, self-improvement books you can get. The book is called Crucial Conversations, and it is a book that is about how to hold crucial, vital conversations. The author and his research team spent time visiting hundreds of corporations where they asked the same question: who in your corporation is the one person who can get things done? And then they took those lists, they compared them, and they saw which name came up the most. And the pattern they noticed was, there'd be a name that would get mentioned once or twice, but then there was always that name that got mentioned like 30 times. Then they would follow that person around, and they would meticulously track how that person conversed, how that person dealt with other people. And what they noticed was where that person had the biggest impact was when a conversation got vital, when it's in the middle of a board meeting and the CEO wants to do something that everybody knows is going to absolutely destroy the corporation. But the CEO has made it very clear that he is not going to accept no for an answer, and so everybody just shuts up. They don't want to be the one person to incur the wrath of this CEO. This is where that mover and that shaker separated themselves by being able to step into the conversation and handle that vital conversation in such a way as to reason with the CEO to open the dialogue back up. At that point, dialogue is closed. The CEO saying this is what's going to happen. Everybody else is terrified. They're keeping their mouth shut. Dialogue needs to open up. And it's not that he, forces the CEO to see their way or his or her way. It's they're able to reopen honest dialogue. The book talks about things that a lot of other communication books talk about, such as, empathy, being aware that you need to be able to put yourself in the other person's shoes and see things from the other person's side. But it goes much deeper than that, and one of my favorite chapters, and one of the reasons why I've listened to this book so many times, it's easy to say, hey, we need to have empathy. We need to put ourselves in the other person's shoes. How do you do that when I'm having a conversation with my wife or a coworker, a friend, a parent, whatever, and they say something which I perceive as offensive, and I get offended, I get angry. All of a sudden, I want nothing more than to defend myself. I feel like I am being attacked. How do I then remember to step back, deep breath, relax? They didn't mean it that way. How do you control yourself in that situation? That's what the other communication books don't address. They tell you, yes, you need to realize that, hey, you might be misconceiving what the person is saying. The person may not be meaning this as an attack. The person may not be coming after you. This could be a matter of your perception is wrong. But at the same time, my blood's up. My emotion's up. Fight or flight has kicked in. How do I remain in empathy? How do I keep myself? I can't control the other person. I can only control myself. So how do I control myself and keep myself in open, honest dialogue? And he goes into that. He goes into the psychology of the 4 steps between my perception and my reaction. And I'm not going to go into detail. Get the book if you want to know this. But the second step, which is the step that is most often left out, is the step that is most vital to that. It's a step that has been explained in other books. But for me at least, never in the way this book explains it. No other author I've ever seen has done such a good job of putting this into plain, understandable, easy to use language. He goes from there. He does not, this book does not address a lot of the basics of communication. Almost every book on communication you get will talk to you about paraphrasing. He doesn't talk about paraphrasing. The paraphrasing is shallow, and it's too shallow for this book. This book goes much deeper than that. This book is a book that will teach you how to have a vital, critical conversation with someone where your goal is to preserve the relationship. How do you do that, and how do you preserve the relationship at the same time? Earlier, I posted a review of Verbal Judo. Biggest problem I had with Verbal Judo was it approached dialogue and conversation from an I'm right. How do I persuade you that I am right and that we are going to do things my way? Which I think is a horrible way to approach any conversation and relationship. And most communication leadership books would agree with that. It's hard to find a book like Verbal Judo that professes to be a conversation or a book on communication that disagrees. Verbal Judo does disagree, but books like that are hard to find. Most of them agree that to be good at dialogue, to be good at crucial conversations, you need to control yourself. You need to control your own perceptions. You need to control your own biases. This book has steps to help you do that. The narrator does an excellent job. It's a subject matter, because it was a book put together by a research team. It's a subject matter that, in all honesty, could probably come across as quite dry and boring. But the narrator does a really good job. He's got a good voice. He doesn't get overly excited, but there's enough range in his voice to keep you interested. It's not hard to get through. It's not hard to listen to. It's very well written, but as I said, it's a book that you're going to want to listen to more than once, because there's so much good material in there. And like any true good material, it's stuff that's not easy to incorporate. That seems like, to me at least, the more important a subject matter is, the deeper that subject matter goes, the more vital it is to my well-being and the well-being of my family, the harder it is for me to recognize in myself and to incorporate. And so I keep going back to this book, and like I said, it's fourth or fifth time, because one, I want to refresh and see, am I actually following the steps? Where have I fallen short? But every time you listen, you learn something new. Every time you listen, you go, oh, I admit, did he say he had to have, because it's a recording, but I missed that part in all the other times that I've listened to it. I cannot recommend more that you get the book Crucial Conversations. I cannot recommend more that you listen to it multiple times, that you apply it to your life, to your relationships, and to those crucial conversations. It will improve your life and make your life better. I hope you have a wonderful day. I'll talk to you all later.